the job is the biggest thing that's like demanding so much of me, and where I've like let go of my boundaries. And I mean, it's teaching. So basically it's just like I have a very empathetic and compassionate heart, and I just give and give and give. And I just feel like it's just like kind of depleted me because there's a lot of traumatic, um,
Yeah.
yeah, trauma kids, and just, yeah.
This is one of those things where, okay, so somebody goes to a new job, somebody moves to a new city, somebody does, A, B, C things, but did you really do the real thing, which is resolve the reason for lack of boundaries, or
Yeah.
be able to navigate how you actually live in an environment where it's demanding, yet you still have to have boundaries, where there's reason to have extreme compassion and be from that place of overflow, but yet you still have to get filled up so that you can be from that place of overflow. I was reading something the other day: be like the reservoir, not the canal. To have wisdom is to be the reservoir. Okay. The canal just gives what it gets. The
Okay.
reservoir waits until it fills up and then overflows.
Yeah.
Right. Most people act like the canal. I am in process. There's several areas of my life that have become more reservoir like.
Yeah.
Emotionally, spiritually, mentally, my capacity levels are very much more reservoir like. But there were certain areas, stubborn areas of my life where I have a generous, there were certain areas where just even the financial aspect where it was more canal like, and it was like, well, do you give what you don't have?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's like practicals around this where God uses those situations to give us wisdom, to give us wisdom. And here's the other thing I'll add is it's not always that's the answer, stay in the situation.
Yeah.
Let God teach you wisdom and change the root problem. Sometimes you actually have to change an environment in order to actually learn and have the space to get the perspective,
Right.
because otherwise you're this close.
That's what I'm wondering, if that's what I need to do, because I'm like, how do I fill myself up with being this close, you know?
So this is where discernment and wisdom is needed. And that's why I would point you to this guy. And
Okay.
when you are in the word, God's going to give you wisdom. He's going to give you insight. He's going to give you discretion. He's going to give you understanding. He's going to give you what you need in order to be able to get some clarity around that. But you have to be willing to let go
Mhm.
and have a clean slate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time, people can't make decisions because they've got preconceived judgments about what those decisions mean.
Right. And then I get, yeah, it's really hard when you're in the stage of trying to gain understanding, because I know that like I feel his presence, and I know I'm very much, I let, just, I, I'm guessing I'm not confident in hearing his voice enough yet, or like what things mean when, so I just don't exactly know how to like step in faith if I'm still like, oh, is this what he wants? Is this what he wants? But I
Yeah.
guess just continue.
Small things
Yeah.
build trust for greater things where trust is required.
Mhm.
So it's very much like God to, in his character, that's what I mean, to establish trust in relationship with him, where we're doing the small things and listening to him in the small things. So when there are greater things, the trust is already established.
Yeah.
To answer your question about mentorship, because I think a lot of people might have questions similarly. Um, Me personally, I for years it was Jesus and I. It was literally like I didn't care. I didn't have a choice almost. I was just talking about this with my wife the other day. It was like lost my dad, a person in my life who was a mentor. That relationship kind of changed. Um, I had other people who were kind of like potential mentor type figures, but they weren't. They weren't um, by relational dynamics. And so a lot of my spiritual growth happened during that time where I didn't have anyone to go to. Or if I did, I chose Jesus instead.
You
I've worked with
know, like what you know now, you're like how you talk with him now and how you're able to like serve others. Did you know have that connection at that time?
no,
No. Okay. You had to figure it out. Okay.
yeah, no, um, yeah, I'll share, like, I've worked with counselors, registered dietitian. I mean, I have hired counselors, registered dietitians, personal trainers. Um, I've done chiropractic care. I've done acupuncture care. I've done all these different things. Okay. Even when I didn't have the money to do it, it was, for me, it was an investment, because I knew health wise, I was like, I don't know what I don't know.
Mhm.
I need to figure this out and that and that. And over time, I do have a mentorship figure in my life. God actually brought a person, an amazing man of God. I mean, totally random, but not random when it's God. Brought a person. We've been talking on the phone for 3 years, multiple times a month. I've never met this guy in my life.
Wow.
Crazy. So he brought, I've never met him in person, but he brought this man as a mentorship type of figure in my life. And in the absence, though, I really developed leaning on God's leadership in my life. And a big part of that was my wife, now wife, and her family. That was a big part of the kind of support. I had a church I was going to where there were encounters with God that were very powerful at one time, and private, personal encounters I would have in my own time. And so between like just a mix of so many things, God started, out of the hunger he placed in me and the places he put me in, he started to develop me, my ways of thinking. He freed me. I went through a lot of deliverance, um, a lot of these physical encounters, intimate emotional encounters, these deep spiritual encounters. And um, through that process, what I would say is like unlocked a lot of these giftings
Yeah.
that needed to have an establishment of character for them to be used
Yeah.
appropriately, if
Yeah.
that
That's
makes
making
sense.
sense. Yeah.
So that's why, and Noel put it in the chat, start with the small things.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
You're talking about, now I'm not saying job's a small thing, but maybe it is relative to the other things.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that helps a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.